What's up, good people? It's your boy, Bro Troy, and welcome to the Bro Code Show. Tonight is the first night of our two-part series where we'll be discussing ladies in leadership. I don't know about you fellas, but I am excited to have this conversation tonight. We're all on high spirits, and for that, tonight's show is sponsored by Bridge the Gap Mission. Shout out to Mr. Otis, Kellen, Kelly, and all the dope folks over at Bridge the Gap Mission, uplifting and transforming communities through action and education. So tonight we have the pleasure of sitting down with a couple of awesome female leaders and change agents to discuss the milestones, the challenges, and the legacy of strong female leadership. Now, if you guys are new to the Bro Code Show is a live talk show created to discuss, uncover, justify, and dismantle the issues that concern us most as brothers, as family, and as a community. And we like to give that to you raw, uncut, and real respectful. Now, a lot of people would define the Bro Code as a friendship etiquette or some type of standard that men follow. But around here, a bro is a loyal, confident, and stand-up guy that comes in all shapes, sizes, colors, and creeds. Now, our greatest desire is to embrace everyone in positive, popular conversation. So we're not in the business of bashing, belittling, or shaming anyone. But we do believe in being comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. Because that's where understanding starts. So as my grandmother would say, let's chew the meat and spit out the bone. So a few housekeeping things. For those that are on Facebook, please like and share this post right now. Allow the ripple effect to continue so we can chew on these courageous conversations together. So like and share this post right now. For those cats that are on YouTube, man, first and foremost, I want to give credit where credit is due because the Bro Code channel, the Bro Code platform under YM4C TV on our YouTube channel is coming up, fellas, on 300 subscribers. So shout out to you guys, man. Everybody that's over there on YouTube that's checking us out, man, we appreciate that. And how that ripple effect continues is to go there now. YM4C TV, it's on the bottom of the screen. Click the notification so that way when we go live, you'll know it. So other than that, man, we appreciate the love. Let's continue that. Leave comments, questions, shout outs. Tell us you love us. We love the love. And periodically throughout the show, we'll shout you out, let you know that we're listening. We love you too, and that we hear you. So tonight, as always, we're going to have the pop-up guest. We're going to pick 1 to 2 guests that want to kick it with the bros and chew this conversation about ladies in leadership. The number is on the bottom of the screen. We'll pick one audience member to ask a question on the show tonight. You can catch that at 919-714-9905. So what's happening, fellas? Bro Kurt, what's good, man? Tell me something.
Yo, man, appreciate it. Excited, man. This year has been a year of ups and downs, but we're up right now, so everything's good.
That's what's up, man. We're going to take this moment right in, man, and continue to do great things, man. I appreciate that, man. Bo Smith, what's good, man? Tell me something good.
Oh, man, Giants.
There we go.
We're number 2. We on the board. But yeah,
you got 2 wins there now. You doing something, huh?
Hey, man, it doesn't matter that it's against the Redskins. It's 2 wins. That's all we need to know.
No, we can't call them that anymore. Just the symbol of
that
right?
football team.
The football team that happens to wear the red color. There you go.
Yeah,
Bro Code loves everybody. So, well, no problem. Nonetheless, fellas, man, nothing great ever happens alone, bro. So you know how we do, man. We came to chew the fat and spit out the bone. Let's talk about these great things that are going on in the United States of America. So tonight we have some wonderful young ladies. This first young lady, her name is Attorney Carena Lemons. Attorney Lemons received her law degree from North Carolina Central University School of Law in 2001. She's been practicing law for 18 years in Durham, North Carolina. She is also the host and creator of her own television talk show entitled It's Your Life, as well as an actress. Fellas, help me, help we, help us introduce and welcome Miss Attorney Carena Lemons. Carena, how you feeling today?
Hey guys, hey bros. I'm feeling wonderful tonight. I'm so excited about what's going on in our country, and I'm excited to talk to you all about leadership today.
Absolutely. So we read a few of your accomplishments, but for the people listening, Carena, what makes you you? Who is Carena at the core?
I am a woman of God pursuing God's purpose for my life, and it's took me a long time to figure out what that was. Yeah. And I'm still figuring it out. But at this point, I know that God wants me to use my gifts, talents, and skills to help people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Came to serve, not to be served, right? So wherever your feet may trod, that it come with some purpose and passion. Just so you know, before we introduce Doc to the show, I got to shout out my man Leland because he got the right team. I know we a little trash too, but we gonna root for the home team. Leland, I see you, brother. Go Falcons. So with that being said, man, we got someone else dope on the line too. This young lady goes by the name of Dr. Pamela Gilchrist. Dr. Pamela Gilchrist is director of MOTAB and Anderson Academy, which is at the Science House at North Carolina State University. Yes, JC, we know. She is the 2016 recipient of the Gatlin Award and founder of Gilchrist Progressive Consulting, LLC. So, fellas, Miss Carena, help me welcome none other than Dr. Pam to the show. What's going on, Dr. Pam?
Hello, guys. What's up?
How you feeling? You feeling all right today?
I'm doing awesome today. Really excited to be here with you all. Just talk about leadership and as a leader.
Absolutely. So we read a few of your accomplishments as well, but I'm just curious, you know, for the people listening, for the bros, what makes you you? Who is Pamela Gilchrist at the core?
Well, I think my name just really coins who I am as a person, as a lady, as a woman. And my name Gilchrist means servant of Christ. And I'm a giver of hope. You know, I've lived a life that has not always been easy, but I've found ways to thrive and live purposefully and encourage others to do the same. So I'm here to share that with others.
So we're going to drop the mic right there and just stop the show. No, I'm just playing. So good stuff, ladies. We certainly appreciate you ladies joining us tonight, Bro Smith. Let's chew the meat and spit out the bone. What you got going on, brother?
All right. Well, we'll get into it. So, I mean, right off the top, you know, many more women are providing visible leadership today than ever before. You know, women ambitious for leadership, however, still face formidable obstacles, whether it be the lack of family-friendly policies in workplaces, gender stereotypes perpetuated in popular culture, and in some parts of the world, laws and practices that deny women education or opportunities outside the home. Now, as we get into this subject, we need to understand what we mean by leadership. You know, I'm going to use the following definition. You know, leaders define or clarify goals for a group of individuals and bring together the energies of members of that group to pursue those goals. Now, it's also helpful to distinguish leadership from two closely related concepts, power and authority. Now, all leaders have some measure of power and in the sense of influencing and determining priorities for other individuals, but leadership cannot be a synonym for holding power. Now, right now, or I should say, as of the most recent issue of the Fortune 500, it was found that women held 7.4% of CEO roles, which is as high as it's ever been. But even though women are making significant strides to break through, there's still a lack of racial diversity, given that nearly all are white. You know, only 3 of this year's Fortune 500 female CEOs are women of color. Now, we're all jazzed up on the election, and one of the things that I note is essentially that Donald Trump's victory in 2016, for what it's worth, it started a movement. It galvanized a lot of attention, and this movement expanded beyond the political to encompass the social and cultural spheres and gave women of color a place in the spotlight. As women ran for national, state, and local office in record numbers, the Me Too movement toppled men who once harassed with impunity. Record numbers of women won in the 2018 midterms, retaking the U.S. House of Representatives for the Democrats, and 6 women declared their candidacy for president in 2020. And today, there are 9 female governors in the U.S., matching previous highs in 2003 and 2007. Now, a lot of the focus as of late, and I'll say rightly so, has been on the politics of now Vice President-elect. I have to get used to saying that for the time being, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's, but one of the vice presidential runner-ups, Stacey Abrams, has played a significant role in the outcome of the election as well. And though Abrams did not end up on the Democratic ticket, her work to boost African-American voter participation and ensure fair elections in Georgia and across the country has already changed the terrain of politics. And while a woman has yet to become president of the United States, the image of it gets more realistic day by day. So, long story short, there have been significant strides in creating more gender-inclusive work environments, but there's still a lot more work to do when it comes to including women in more management and leadership roles as a whole. I'm excited that we have the opportunity to talk to 2 amazing women, and I have a number of questions, so we'll get it kicked off. So, Carena, you're not just a star attorney, but from what I understand, you also sing, act, and host your own talk show. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Who or what inspired you to do all these things? Where's the inspiration for?
It started at home. My parents, till this day, when I go visit them, I stop getting upset that they're never home because they're always on the go. They always have something going on. My mother is retired now, but she doesn't slow down. She doesn't stop. She's assisting us with keeping our kids and helping them with their schooling, even though she lives in South Carolina. She came up this weekend so that the girls could go to cheer practice and spend some time with us. So she's been commuting back and forth. And so while she's here, I get a chance to see a glimpse of what her retired life is. And she's chair of this committee, the NAACP. She is chair of this committee for her sorority. She is actively involved at church, and so she's a minister. She's a First Lady Emeritus. After she retired, she went to divinity school and got her MDiv, her Master's of Divinity. And my dad, he's going all the time. He is the resident chef, cook, baker of their church. And so my parents have always kept busy and have instilled in me that you are to use your skills, gifts, and talents for the kingdom of God, to pour into other people, to bless other people. We fuss at my dad all the time because he's constantly buying ingredients to cook, and he's spending all his money on food so that he can bake for other people and essentially give this food away. And I think that's just a testament of who they are as people and how they raised myself and my brothers.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you for sharing. Dr. G, I'll turn the next one to you. You're a huge ambassador for STEM education amongst our youth. What experiences or mentors in your life helped to create that passion for STEM education?
Well, I will say for sure, the love for education was, something significant in my family. I was the youngest of 10 siblings with from a working class family. My father worked at a concrete company and my mother was a grill cook, but education and industry and caring and giving to people was important, and using those experiences to encourage and help others. So it began at home. Living in a rural area, science was not something that you really experienced in an engaging and relevant and meaningful way. So finding ways to make science or technology, engineering, and mathematics truly engaging and empowering students to see what they could do with it became a passion of mine as an educator. And there were many strong women, strong African-American women in my journey throughout my my early education years, my college experience, and professional career, who have encouraged me to do those things that others don't do by knocking the glass, shattering the glass when it comes to engaging African American kids in physics and engineering, looking at photonics and how light really has a meaningful impact in our life and how you can harness that knowledge to have a meaningful impact in the world. So just looking at what's around us and creating amazing opportunities for others and partnering with others have been something that was taught to me as a child.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you for that. So we want to shift into a question for female leaders, which both of you are, and would love to hear the barriers that for your lived experience and just kind of hear your personal barriers and how you actually overcame them. And we'll start with you, Carena.
Because I had been my own boss, so to speak, for most of my career as an attorney, believing that I had to prove myself to other people was a huge barrier. Imposter syndrome is real. Feeling that you're not smart enough, you're not knowledgeable enough, you don't have enough experience, getting outside of your own head. And for me, that was the biggest barrier. Of course, there's always getting people to trust you as their counselor and attorney, and getting people to pay for you to represent them. That's always been a challenge. But I think the biggest barrier really was just in my own head, believing that I had to prove myself. I know that that's a different story for a lot of Black women of color who work in companies and in government. I am an employment law attorney, and I do a lot of employment discrimination law work. And in that area, I have a lot of people that come to me because of the barriers that they have in their companies and at their jobs. And those barriers are very real.
So thank you for that. I love when you talk about getting out of our own way. Sometimes the stories we tell ourselves, they're just false. So I love that. Dr. Pam, we would love your viewpoint on the same question.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the fear, our thoughts about ourselves sometimes can limit us in the work that we do. But I think it really, drilling down to owning our worth and our value and what we bring to the space, whether it's for a company, an institution, and then there can be spaces, there can be barriers where you tap out in an organization, where you have achieved those things that were important to you. And I have experienced that, but then also looking at what are those things that really drive me and how can I use these skills that I have obtained and used in this current space to expand beyond that. So that actually allowed me to develop my own LLC, Gilchrist Progressive Consultant, to not only use my gifts and my talents and my passion to impact education with students, with educators across the state and within the US, but then also how can I attach and connect with faith-based organizations, nonprofits, as well as businesses to look at ways that we design solutions to problems using an inclusive perspective. So really like harnessing what drives you and being able to see that fear, that false evidence that sometimes we're allowed to appear real is just, it's something that's distracting us. And we need to really focus on what drives me. And that's what I had to do. Not allow the fact that things that I wanted to do in my current sphere or my current job not to occur, but realize that I have the capacity, the creativity, and the ability to create opportunities beyond that space. And we have to do that. So I always say barriers a lot of times are ourselves. Now, there are systemic barriers that we do confront. So I'm not going to leave that out to not say that there are opportunities where you're overlooked in spaces. And I think within that, we have to look inward and really own our worth and be willing to bring it to the table and share it with the world.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
And that's
so I'm gonna shift this.
It's not easy at all.
I'm gonna shift this next question back to you, Carena. And when we talk about leadership, I was reading a Harvard Business Review, and it said in the study that men and women lead differently. And so when you think about leaders, women are more empathetic. Women are more about putting people first over self first. So your smile is confirmation of that. So I appreciate that. But I would love to know from your viewpoint, Carena, what a good leader, what traits do they have?
Servant leadership. You can't lead if you are unable to follow. A good leader is not someone who started their business because they didn't get along well with any of their supervisors. You have to be a servant first. You have to know how to follow. My dad was a chaplain in the military, but then was a pastor. And I would watch how these ministers would just, be so rebellious and so defiant. And, what goes around comes around. If you are difficult to lead, then you will be leading people who are difficult to lead. And so having that servanthood mentality, that sense of knowing that you are discipling the people that you lead. You are teaching them and training them and pouring into them so that they can be the best that they could be. And I think that that's what makes a good leader. Not being intimidated by that person and being afraid and hanging on to your secret sauce and your, all of the things that make you tick and make you who you are, but passing that on. You can't take that stuff with you, especially in my field with small solo practitioners and small law firms. The attorneys don't like to train their associates and their employees. They're afraid that they're going to take everything that they taught them and become their competitor. So what? So what if that happens? You be the best you can be. Nobody can be you. But you can train and teach other people how to be the best them. And that is our role, and that is our commission as Christians. And that is what we were placed on this earth to do. That's what kingdom business is about. Yeah. And that's how I perceive leadership and good qualities of a leader.
Thank you for that. I think that I love that we're shifting the conversation with kingdom principles, because at the highest is abundance heart. So we know that we don't have to hoard our skills. We can give them out and we win that way collectively. Dr. Pam, I would love to hear your version of that question.
Well, it's amazing that Carena, that servant leadership is something that girds you. And that's significantly important to me as an educator. You have to serve. You have to meet people where they are. You have to be humble enough to share who you are with others, and even be quiet at times so that others will step to the table and cultivate what they have to give. When I think about a leader, Brother Smith talked about influence. How do we use who we are to mobilize others to do even greater things than we even imagine we can do? And in order to do that, you have to be humble. You have to be courageous enough to take risks, to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to share what your, how you live in between the middle of success and failure, and you navigate that space and bring people in with you to experience it with you. You also have to be authentic. You got to be real. So if you're saying that you're a leader and I stand here today and I have this PhD just because I was successful and I did everything right my entire life, that's not real. That's not encouraging others to thrive in the midst of struggles. And I think being problem solvers, looking at difficulties and seeing them as opportunities to have meaningful impact, not only in your life, in other lives, and using that to mobilize great changes within our space. So that's what I think a great leader is. It's not about a position. It's not about a title. It's about engaging people to do meaningful work wherever they are to produce greater results.
We're just going to stop right here, man. Look, if you're just checking in, or if you haven't, please press play. Play. When we talk straight, stop scrolling and just press feed now. So if for those that haven't heard or don't know, you've checked into the Bro Code Show. We're talking about ladies in leadership. But more importantly, what it takes to be a leader, period. If I could just try to encompass some of the gems that have been dropped in the last, how long we on it? 20 minutes? We've heard servant leadership several times. Caring and giving, imposter syndrome. I wrote a message about that exact word you spoke of, Dr. Pam. Fear, false evidence appearing real, and how those things and it's the slight things, that seed of doubt, right? As often as you want to, doubt gets a hold of you. All those great things kind of go to waste, right? But let's check in with the crowd, man. Let's see what the crowd is saying. I'm over here about to do cartwheels in my office, but Dr. What's there, brother? Yeah, I know I'm gonna hurt my knee, but what's up, Dr. Archie? Good to see you, brother. For those that didn't hear it and want to connect with Dr. Gilchrist, it's Gilchrist Progressive Consulting LLC. Ms. Ann, what's going on? Fear is definitely a distraction. We talked about that today. That was the message, was distraction. So again, that's why I'm over here having a fit. Reggie, what's good, brother? I don't know who you was exacting, but bam, there it is. It had to be all that goodness that was coming on from the ladies. I totally agree with you as well, Miss Ann. Be the best you could be, man. Like, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. My hymn is different. It's purple. It's of royalty. I am a king. And everything about me is just that. Daniel, what's good, brother? He says servant leadership is a hot commodity and increasing rarity, both in professions and some of our brothers and sisters. So let's be the fixtures. Be the change you want to see. I think that's those sentiments have been said 50 million times. So I had a question. Leland is watching on YouTube. This is Dr. G. What's the next big step in STEM movement?
I think the big movement in STEM is just the multidisciplinary approach to solving like grand challenges in our world, and how we bring together like the thinkers, the people from different walks to solve problems like, water, energy, all those things that shape our lives, and incorporating that interdisciplinary connection is just really important. And it connects to every area of our life. So that's what comes to me. Using that multidisciplinary approach to solve those problems that meet our everyday life are critical brokers, and taking those problems and sharing it with children now, so they see that they can actually apply solutions as children, or even think of options to address it, is critical. And allowing them to see that you can approach anything in your life using science. and the skills are cross-disciplinary. You can be an excellent writer, excellent communicator. All those things are critical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to switch up this a little bit. Carena, when I think of reflective representation, right, when we talk about female attorneys, some of the things that come to my mind, obviously, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right? Michelle Obama, Janet Reno, or if you're anything like me, Felicia Rashad, a.k.a. Claire Huxtable from the But, Dr. Pam, when I think of reflective representation concerning female leadership in STEM, some of the names that come to my mind is Sally Ride, Macy Jamison, and of course, Katherine Johnson, who was played by Cookie Lyon, aka Taraji P. Henson in the movie Hidden Figures. But I'm curious, and I want to hear this from both of you ladies, man. How important is it for our young girls to see themselves represented in all sectors of business, even in entrepreneurship, and in your case, Carena, being an actor, a TV show host? So I guess we'll start there. Carena, what are your thoughts?
It's very important. It's funny that you mentioned Claire Huxtable. I have a very dear friend who went to law school and became a lawyer because she wanted to be Claire Huxtable. Yeah. And so seeing those characters on television, seeing those women on the television screen, in the news and in the newspaper and on social media, seeing those women being at the pinnacle of their careers, having success in fields where we think of men dominating those careers is so important. Someone asked my youngest daughter what she wanted to do and what type of, person that she wanted to be, and what type, if there was a doll, what type of doll it would be. And she said it would be, the doll would be like her mother, would be me, because she sees me as a role model, as a representation of who she wants to be. So it's so important for us to see. Sometimes it's not always our own mother. Sometimes our mother may have a job that we don't want at all. My oldest daughter does not want my job. But it's important for us to see other women, especially women of color, excelling in their career, because that's what inspires us a lot of times, especially when we have in our mind that thing that we want to do that we haven't seen done before, or we haven't seen done in our own community. It's so important to see those other people who have persevered and pressed through. Getting to the top of your game is difficult. It is extremely hard. Getting to the place that you are along in your journey. I have not arrived. I'm not there yet. I'm not Taraji P. Henson yet, or Felicia Rashad. And so going along on that journey is a challenge, but having someone to look at who has gone along that journey and has stayed along the journey and has not given up is critical.
Absolutely. Dr. Pam, what you got, Dr. Pam? Give me what you got. What are your thoughts on the question? Like, how important is that for our young girls?
I hate to say second what she shared, but then I also think it is significant for us to see, ourselves in various careers. I think it's also important for us to know that if we see women in areas that we're interested in, it also provides a narrative for us to write that space we desire to go to. So within that, yes, it's important for them to see people who look like them in areas that they desire to. But I want them also to tune in to what is it that uniquely drives you. And if this space appears not to reflect you, we're depending on you to be the bridge builder, to knock that door open and know that there will be ways to navigate that space. So it's extremely significant. As a child in a rural area, I didn't have any African-American teachers in elementary school. I didn't see an African-American teacher until middle school, and it was a male science teacher. In high school, I had 2 African-American females in the education sector that taught at my school, and that was it. So within that, and a white man is the person that told me about college. It wasn't a person of color. So within that, I think it's important for us to see ourselves and then also be willing to write the narrative and to define those spaces that we are just uniquely created to feel. And I think as women, we lead whether we have the title of leadership. And I want young girls to see that and know that they can define that space just by who they uniquely are and bringing it to the table.
Absolutely. I love it. You said a nugget that really sat with me. I'm going to wait until a little bit later, but we did have a few people that wanted to let you guys know that both of these dynamic queens are dropping jewels. So, Reggie, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for that. I do have a question from a longtime listener and a great advocate of our program. Ms. Ann says, I love the emphasis on education, both learning and teaching, but what skill or life lesson do you wish you had learned earlier on in life? Now, Dr. Pam, I see your wheels turning, so I'm going to let them juice up just a little bit more. And if you don't mind, Ms. TG host, Ms. Dr. Attorney Lemons, if you don't mind helping us out, Ms. Carena, what are your thoughts on that? You want to touch that one?
Yeah, I wish I had really got it in my thick skull that I was fearfully and wonderfully made, because I allowed self-esteem to really get in my way and hold me back. And a lot of the things that I did, I had horrible stage fright, horrible. I took an acting class in college and I thought it would be fun. I needed an elective. I thought it'd be an easy A. And I really didn't have a lot of interest in acting. I just thought it would be fun to take the class, and had horrible stage fright, failed my monologue, killed it in the scene because I was an overachiever and I wanted to get out of that class. I could not say that I failed acting. And I got through it and I said, I will never do that again. I do not want to act. And so because I got in my own way, because I allowed my own self-esteem to discourage me, it kind of delayed me finding that path. But I believe that it was God's desire for me to become a lawyer first, to take that path. That was the best training for me to learn how to interview. my guest on my own show. It was the best. I would not have changed it. Would have liked to have started a little bit earlier, but I would not have changed the path that God set out for me. But yeah, I mean, if I could change one thing, it would be, don't listen to my dad and don't date the guy that damaged my self-esteem for so long.
Love it, love it. And I think you touched on something really natural when it comes to our mental wellness. And right now, that's important. Self-love is not selfish; it's necessary. And being fearfully and wonderfully made is a conscious decision. Happiness being a choice, and really starting with self. I can't pour from an empty cup. So, with that being said, I'd love to hear your thoughts, Dr. Pam. What skill or life lesson do you wish you had learned earlier on in life?
I would say not to run away from struggles. I had a challenging childhood. So my goal always was to run hard and achieve. And I worked to find my life. And I would say that you need to be really careful not to allow work to define your life, or, to embrace your story and use your story as, power to live fully and encourage others. So that lesson is, smell the roses sometimes. Don't work all the time. Enjoy life and take in, those vulnerable, difficult moments and use that as a platform to harness your power. So yeah, not just working all the time, bringing in other things that are important to you and not letting that define everything about you.
Well, ladies, you both have talked or alluded to influences that you've had in your life, whether it be family or otherwise. I'm curious, how important was it for you to have a mentor during your journey? Carena, I'll turn that question first to you to elaborate on your mentor relationship.
I had several mentors in the legal system. Of course, my primary mentor is my mother, was and still is. But in the legal system, all of my mentors have been men. I did have one. My first legal job was with a female attorney, but I would say in terms of who trained me up in the law and taught me how to practice law and how to try a case, they were men. One of my internships that I had, I think it was my first internship after my first year of law school, was with a judge, older white judge. He was a Christian, and he mentored me. He continued to keep in touch with me and let me know what was going on with his life, and was interested in what was going on with me. It's important to be mentored regardless of where that mentorship comes. I think we need to be open-minded and recognize that it doesn't matter what color or gender they are. A mentor is what's going to help you get to where you need to be. And unfortunately, I did not have a lot of women that were willing to mentor me or had the time. Let's face it, we're juggling a lot of balls in the air. And, a lot of the female attorneys that I met just simply did not have the time. I think now I am beginning to see a few potential women mentors. Actually, not see, but I would say that I have met several mentors that through the Black and Entertainment Sports Law Association and through some cases that I'm working on pro bono. One of the other attorneys is very skilled in this area, and we're representing a group of protesters, and she is a seasoned criminal law attorney, and that's all she does. And so she is being a mentor for me. She probably doesn't know it yet, but has become a mentor for me in this area of the law. So yeah, it's important. You can't get there by yourself. And if you do, it's dangerous. I'm in a licensed profession. And if you try to go at it on your own without any help, then you're going to lose your license or get suspended or, it's risky. So having those mentors to teach you along the way is so crucial. And again, I can't emphasize enough, just be open to who those mentors are. Soak up all that you can and realize that you're uniquely you. You can't do everything exactly the way they do it, but you can pick up those nuggets along the way from each of those mentors so that it can shape your ideology of the type of professional that you want to be.
Do you have any nuggets that stand out that you picked up along the way? Any memorable experience you'd like to share?
Well, some of the mentors that I've had, I mean, the most important things that I can remember is that they literally sat me down. There's one in particular who's deceased now. He passed away about a year or two ago, middle-aged man, Black man. And I went to the public defender's office to fill in for him and another attorney while they were on maternity leave. And before it was his turn to go out on maternity leave, he sat down, taught me how to train a case, taught me how to work a file. He came with me and second chaired my very first trial. No one had ever done that. I started out my practice the week after I received my law license. So I never had anybody to sit down and teach me how to try a case. And when he did that, it meant the world to me. And so now that I'm an experienced attorney, I make sure that I take the time to mentor those and answer those questions of those attorneys that call me and, seek me out and are wanting to know how to do something.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Dr. Pam, I'll turn that same question to you. If you could elaborate a little bit in regards to your mentorship journey.
Okay. Yeah, I think about it from like K-12, like in high school, who were those people that poured into my life in those formative years? And that was my mother, my sister, and there was a pastor that I met, at my senior year. And they encouraged me to pursue my dreams in the midst of obstacles. As I went off to college, there was a sorority sister. Her name was Patty Smith. Like when I was teaching, she was an educator and she just did all types of things to remind me that there are so many things I have to offer, but she took time to allow me to grow as a leader and to do things that would allow me to impact lives in a meaningful way. When I was teaching in the classroom, she's passed away now. Her name was Esther Morris. She was an English teacher. And one thing about her, she would stretch me. She could see when I was like maybe just taking the easy route, maybe coasting. And I was like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. I can do something else. She said, no, you need to do that. And I'll give you an example of what that was. I was teaching in Greenville and I saw this teaching job to Imhotep Academy, the program I'm currently a director of now. And the task was I needed to create a module, like 10 lesson plans beforehand, before I even knew I had the job. So literally I had to put all the work in before I even knew I had the job. And so I submitted the lessons and the director was like, you need to redo those. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to redo them. I'm just going to let it go. And my mentor said, you need to redo them. And I redid them, submitted it, and I worked, in the academy for like 2 years before I moved into working on my master's degree in technology. But it just reminded me that, there are things that you have to work on and you have to listen. You have to hear the advice that you get and not take it as something that is to destroy you, but to build you and to prepare you for other things and to pay it forward to others. So the very person who's the current director of who is the retired director of Imhotep Academy, she is my current mentor, because when I came into the position, in another position at the Science House, it was working on a photonics project. And this lady mentored me. Like, I didn't have a goal of achieving a PhD. I was happy with my master's and doing meaningful educational experiences that challenged the narrative of education beyond the walls of the classroom. And she was like, okay, you're here now. The PhD is free. You just got to apply. And I was like, oh, no, I don't think that's for me. I don't want to do it. But she continued to see what I had to offer. And she pushed me, she mentored me, she encouraged me to take those challenges. And I think as mentors, we need to do that. We need to see the potential in the people that are around us. We need to encourage them. We need to be honest with them, and we need to be there to support them to walk through those things because we know that they have something valuable to give. So those are many nuggets that I got from there, and even from my family members and my mentors as a child. Pay it forward. Give homage to those who have been there for you, but pay it forward to others. And don't expect anything back. You're not doing it to get any type of reward back or compliment. You're paying it forward because you know that will make the world a better place and they will have a meaningful impact. That's it.
Thank you for that. So, I heard a sermon by T.D. Jakes, and he talked about distant supporters, which almost lends into distant mentors. Carena, you already said that you're watching somebody from afar and learning. So I'd be interested to hear from you first, what tips, a couple of tips maybe we can share with women who are leaning towards leadership roles, but maybe they're in their head saying, I can't do it.
Be a good listener, take the time to hear people out. And hear where they're coming from. Be a good teacher, be patient with people, teach them, give them step by step. It's amazing that my generation and the generations before me, as attorneys, we had to learn how to figure it out. And so, teach ourselves. And the generations that have come behind me, they want you to show them and tell them. And that's what they were taught. Like they weren't really taught to kind of think for themselves and be creative. So you have to teach them and you have to show them step by step. And even though it might not be the way that I learned, it's the way that they need to learn, and it's the way that they learn. And so take the time to be a good teacher. And then thirdly, be both firm and compassionate. Yes, you need to be firm because, in the word, God says that what a father chastises those he loves, so you have to be firm and you have to correct people, but you also need to be compassionate. You need to understand and relate to what people are going through and come from a place of love when you're correcting others and not from a place where you're breaking and tearing them down. Sometimes that process happens naturally where you're humbled, not necessarily that you intentionally try to tear and break people down, but that if you firmly and directly correct people in love, then they will be humbled and they'll begin to look at things from a different lens, and then build them back up, after that. I like to start out with, I love the way that you did this, or I like that you are this way. But in order to get the result that you want to try this, or you want to do this, or I think you'll be more successful, or I think you'll have better results if you do it this way. Try it this way and tell me what you think. Those types of words, I think, help you to be firm and be compassionate.
Thank you for that. One thing I heard you say that really sticks out for me is that as a teacher, you're going to continue to grow. And in the comments already said, I think she described a growth mindset. So the more we teach, the more we continue to stay fresh in our craft. So I appreciate that. Dr. Pam, would love to hear your version of that same question.
Well, I always say too, I believe women are leading in their current roles. So if they're looking to pursue another leadership role, we need to first look at how or what have we done successful in our current role, right? How have we grown in that space? How have we cultivated bringing people in to do meaningful things together? What things have we developed that can be used or build a platform to move to this next space? And within that is really realizing that you're a leader right where you are, whether it's by title or by what you produce, and owning what it is we do as people in those positions and those roles. And once you realize your level of influence, how you use that to continue to produce, productivity, collaborative connections among others, and whatever result you're trying to find. And I think another part of that is not despising the small beginnings, because we'll look at our experiences and we will undermine the worth of those experiences and not even see the leadership aspects that are all wrapped within it. So we got to really look at what we're doing and own our stories, own what we contribute to the spaces we are in, and use that to allow us to pursue those other areas that we may be thinking about but are not really certain we have the capacity to manage and do. And I say really that growing edge, where we have achieved some things, but where we're going, there's still work there, but what you have been doing is preparing you for that. So let's not forget what's there, and let's cultivate it and use it.
So if you're just checking in, you are checking into the Bro Code Show. We're chewing the fat with some wonderful young ladies about ladies in leadership, the importance of that reflective representation, as well as what's next, and really living on this high that we have now with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. We have Carena Lemons, who is the head attorney at Lemons Law Firm in Durham, North Carolina, as well as Dr. Pamela Gilchrist of Imitab. I know I'm messing that up. Please, no harm. Imitab Academy at the Science House at NC State. Man, we've had some very impactful conversation, y'all. I do want to recognize the crowd really quickly. Miss Felicia Ross, she's up in New Jersey. She's actually the mom of one of the mentees that we serve virtually. And she agreed, correction is love, and love is so key. Absolutely. With that being said, we want to switch gears just a little bit. We've had some really deep, impactful conversations, plenty of gems being dropped, but I want to get everybody involved on this one. So this is one of our would you rather questions, okay? So would you rather remember every conversation you have ever had, or remember everything that you have ever read? So would you rather remember every conversation that you've ever had, or remember everything that you have ever read? So Bro Smith, I ain't heard from you in a minute. I let the lady. I see the ladies turning. So go ahead, man. What you think, brother? Which one would you rather do?
Oh, man, at first I thought it would be the everything I've read, but I work with people a lot, and I have a lot of conversations and one-on-ones with my team and associates, and I think remembering the conversations helps build a certain level of trust in a relationship with individuals over time. And albeit, I could probably learn karate a lot faster, and other things by reading from the book and keeping that like Matrix style. I think I'd rather take the conversation.
Yeah, I could dig that. What about you, Bro Kurt?
Well, I'm an avid reader, so I would lean that way. However, God hides blessings in people. So I'm going to have to go with the conversations, because I believe the conversations, and we talk about it, is where it starts.
Yeah. All right. How about yourself, Carena?
I would have to go with everything I've ever read, because with everything that I've ever heard, there's some things that I'd rather would not have heard. They say that physical scars heal, but words scar forever. And so some of the scars that I've had from words have lasted longer than they should have. But everything that I've read, I would love it if I know people have photographic memories. That's not me, but I would love to have a photographic memory so I can remember everything that I've read.
Awesome. How about you, Dr. Pam?
I'm not an either or person. I'm a theory and a practice person. And I think there's like great connection between the two. So remembering the conversations, like having a pulse of what the needs are, but understanding theory and its application or that connection there is where I live. So I'm not either or. I need a little of both.
You know you would be that one, Dr. Pam.
Dr. Pam, you cheated.
Right? Pick one or pick that. It was like me asking my wife what you want to eat. I don't know, and then I bring it, and she's like, I didn't want that. Well, I asked you what you wanted to eat, dear. I'll let you slide on that one. As you can tell, I love the talk. So, and I would have to go for the conversation. But I love what you said, Carena, because it offered perspective. Like, wow, there are some conversations I wish I never had. and to have them potentially scar me because my bishop says a fresh man. So you might be over it, but then a song comes on, or somebody says something that sounded somewhat like what the other person said, and you get that fresh man, and that fresh man will take you to another place. So I could dig that. I could dig that.
I love people. I love people. So I love having conversations with people. But what I do with the conversations is I take them and I kind of figure out who they are, and I assign, or I guess assess, like, okay, this person, their strength is, or their weakness is, but I focus on those strengths. And people say, you always see the best in people. And I'm like, well, if I see the worst in people, then how can I help them? Because if my purpose is to help them, then I can't help people if I only see the worst in them. I can only help them if I see the best. I can help them be their best. So yeah, that's why I went with the reading.
Okay, I like it. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, so I'm gonna cheat a little too and take that. That's technically a conversation when I'm listening to the audiobook.
There you go, bro Smith. There you go.
Okay, so I'm glad that we found out y'all have humor going on too. And Dr. Pam, breaking the rules is important too, a little bit when you want to be a leader, right? So you got to break through those barriers. But another fun question. I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Pam. If your life was a movie, what would the title be?
It would be Go Get It. And the get would really, embody growing consistently, elevating your presence through partnering and serving, and transforming the world doing what you love.
And I'm guessing you're gonna be the main character.
It'd be me in the world. You can't do it alone. We're talking about leadership.
I love it. And Carena,
changing
what would be
the world, making it better.
I love it. Carena, what would be your movie title?
Well, when I think of movie titles, I think a lot of them have one word. So I would say broken. And then the synopsis of the movie would be broken but not shattered. So it would be a journey of someone who was initially broken and God had to build her back up in order for her to pursue her path.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, I'm going to just basically ask what may be the last question based off of time. I'm curious if either one of you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to leave with our audience or ideas as to how people can reach you going forward. So I guess, Dr. Pam, if you can leave us with your closing thoughts.
Well, my closing thoughts right now are really harnessed on our world, and where we see the election has shown great polarization. And as people, we have to find a way to bridge that gap. And I know prayer is significant because I'm a woman of faith, but then also it's going to take action, intentional actions among all of us, within our workplace, within our communities, even within our families, because there are, differences of there's just differences among our family. So I leave that to say, let's continue to do the difficult work and find ways to build bridges and work to make our world a better place. And you can contact me just by my name, Dr. G, at GilchristProgressiveConsultant.com. It's Dr. G at GilchristProgressiveConsultant.com. And I bid you all be well and just live life to the fullest is important.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice. And Carena, last words for the audience.
in terms of leadership, I would say to the ladies, to the women out there, be bold. Just be bold. Don't be unapologetically you. Don't be afraid to break the barriers, to shatter the ceiling, the glass ceiling. Just wear shoes, because I read on Facebook today, ladies wear shoes because there's glass everywhere. And so make sure that you do that and seek out a mentor, and don't limit who that mentor would be. You can reach me by Facebook, Carena Lemons, Instagram, Carena Lemons, or you can reach out to me online through my website. There's a contact form if you had any legal concerns, and that's thelemonslawfirm.com, spelled just like it is here on the screen, thelemonslawfirm.com.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome sauce. Well, hey, if I could just add my half a cent from all the cents that have been dropped in the last hour, listen twice as much as you speak. That's one of the sentiments and goals that we set up with our young men virtually every week. Actually, the 3 goals this last week were: 1, lead in love; 2, take more initiative; and 3, listen more than you speak. Grandma used to say, 2 ears, 1 mouth? But we were designed to listen more than we speak. Build, prepare, and equip. To be a forever learner. Also taking a personal sense of responsibility. So as it pertains to leadership, as it pertains to next steps, I'm going to leave you with 2, 4, 6, 8 words. Be intentional, be sincere, be you, but most of all, be consistent. Join us next week as we'll have special guest Beth Tanner. Beth Tanner is the former former Assistant Attorney General and Assistant General Counsel with the North Carolina Department of Justice. She's also Associate Director of North Carolina Innocence Inquiry Commission and candidate for, we also will have Dr. Fieldra Swagger. Dr. Swagger is an author, educator, success coach, CEO, and founder of Combined Expertise Incorporated. And last but not least, we'll have the Queen, Dr. Paulette Walker. She's an educator extraordinaire and serving on every level of the education system. Dr. Walker also served as the 25th National President of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Shout out to the devastating divas. So set your alarm, Siri, Alexa, and Google Home for next Sunday, November the 15th at 6 p.m. live on Facebook, on YM4C, and also our YouTube channel, YM4C TV. Now, we always leave you with something positive, and tonight's quote will be no different. Comes from Strong Female Leadership. Matter of fact, her name is Ann Sweeney. She's a co-chair, Disney Media Network. And it reads, define success on your own terms. Achieve it by your own rules. And build a life that you're proud to lead. Once again, it's your boy, Troy, a.k.a. Mr. YM4C, and we are the Bro Code.